So today what we're going to be looking at is a bit of a tutorial on how to put up crown molding. It's the job that everybody hates to undertake and everybody seems to be a little scared of. What we want to make sure of is that we've got good, nice, tight joints and flush to the ceiling, make a nice fitting there. We don't want to have to end up having caulk joints everywhere. It's just not a good look. No matter how much caulk that you put on a crown mold or what have you, you're not going to have that good tight fit that you're going to want to have. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to look at what we need to do. Now I've got this little rigid battery operated saw that I just love. I carry it around everywhere with me. And it's big enough to do most of the jobs that I want to do. And it has a couple features on it that if you're going to buy a saw that you might want to look at. And one of them is the tilt on this saw. I like the fact that it goes either way. If you're doing crown molding, you're going to get very confused, and if you're not used to it, you're not used to doing a whole lot of angles, the last thing you want is to have to worry about flipping a piece of wood upside down to be able to make your joint. And so therefore, make sure that you get you a decent saw, even if it's not an expensive saw, just to be able to get your angles. You can adjust most of these saws to get a good angle on it. Some of them are going to cut faster, a little bit smoother than others. But this one right here does me good for this type of thing, and it's not as precise as a big saw, but it sure is a whole lot less cumbersome and heavy to carry around. I've got this MDF crown molding that we're using on this, and of course my scallop always goes down to the bottom, and you'll see that this is basically made out of a composite paper cardboard type thing, and then it's laminated with a covering over to make it look like wood. The best thing that you can do is make sure that you've got a nice sharp blade on these, and that'll give you a nice smooth finish. Now, most folks are worried about the angles, and they're intimidated by the fact that angles will get them messed up. They're not geometric type folks, angles, this sort of thing. On these saws today, they've taken a lot of the guesswork out of most of you. Now, there comes times that I do have to do some figuring and actually get on the mark with my odd angles, or if the room is out of plumb, if I'm going to get a nice tight joint. But as you can see here, these numbers on the side of your saw there, as well as your turning radius, you'll see that if you're going to do a 45 just for your basic baseboards, this sort of thing, you'd be able to hear it. And this one locks into place so you don't have to worry about it moving. But right here, you're going to find your standard cut for most of your crown molding. Now on this one, it's got an automatic lock that will lock right into that spot. You have to push it down to get it unlocked. But you can see 31.6 degrees here. As well, you can see you've got on your tilt, you've also got it pre-marked at 33, and basically 33 and a half degrees here on your tilt. And what will happen is anytime that you're doing a room like this where you've got an inside joint, your bottom's always going to be your long piece. If you're doing an outside, such as a door casing or something like that, you'll flip it around to where the top's going to be your long piece, and that's where a lot of folks mess up and they end up with a lot of leftover pieces. Now you can see here that this joint is already pre-cut for me. I just cut it just a little bit ago. Hold on just a second. Get this anchored down here for me, just so you can see what we're doing here. And put that right there. And so anyway, make sure that you've got you a nice tight fit against your fence, and then easing it down, you make a nice smooth cut all the way across. You'll end up with a piece that's going to look basically like this right here, and you're going to fit right into the corner there with a good, nice, tight fit. Now, what I do like to do, and makes things a whole lot easier for you, is I cut me a dummy piece, just a scrap piece, and I go ahead and cut the angle off both sides. Just a nice short piece. And what this is going to be for is so that in my corners, when I'm putting my my finished piece up, I can get the right angle in that corner. Because when you put this against the wall, as you can see, you've got a bit of an angle on your crown mold to sit into a bed just like that. Well, it's real easy if a wall is a little bit out of plumb, something like that, to get a little bit of tilt out of it. If two pieces of sheetrock are not met up quite together, to get out a little bit, and let's say just a little bit of tilt, just barely tilt, will make it to where your crown molding does not fit up nice and tight. And so what I do is I will use this to judge and to gauge my joint as I'm putting them together up in this corner. I'll show you this in just a second. Let me get this right in place for you so you can get a good view of this. We'll put this using my phone here for my camera, and I'm sure most of y'all do as well. We'll start with that corner right over there. I think that'll probably, well, I better put you over here and start with this corner right here. That way I'm not in the way, and kind of a good sized fella, not getting in your way of being able to see the picture as we put this together. Now, I'm going to get my trusty nailer, and I don't like to use oversized nails on crown molding, especially MDF, because it will blow out and give you a rough finish. I'll give that a second to cut off there. Now, as you can see, when I put this up here, I'm going to take my gauge part, my gauge piece I'm going to put up here, and I'm going to adjust this to where my joints fit nice and tight right there. And that way I know that I've got the right angle against that wall. That makes it so much easier because you will end up with a mess trying to get your angles right if you try to eyeball it. So what I'll do is I will tack that right there. I like to shoot right into that joint right there, to the angle, and that gives me a very little footprint of my nails. Now, I'm going to turn this around on this side for you so that you'll be able to see on this side as well, and I hope that that does that for you. And I'll use the gauge as well on this side. You see how nice, tight, even that is? That's just a great trick. Carry this around with you. I normally put it in my back pocket, and I'll take this. I know that my door jack is going to have a stud right here, so I'll shoot that right there. Now, I've as well got my stud finder. Just got a little old cheap zircon. Works as good as any of them. I'll find my studs so that I can get a nice tight nail in there. We don't want our crown molding to ease away from that wall over time, give us gaps. Right now I'm just using a 18 gauge brad nail, that 2-inch brad nail, to reach in there and get a hold of that stud. And I'll leave that right there until I get my next piece. We'll cut that to go side to side, end to end. And what I've got is I've already got my other piece at the other end put up, and that way I can measure this across this long ways, and I can get that piece in there and it'll lock together from end to end. I've already got that up there. I won't have to use that gauge again. My joints will be right as they go in. Let's see here. I'm going to measure from end to end, corner to corner here, and my joints that I normally do, I push them in there pretty tight, just because I like my joints to be as tight as possible. I don't like cold. As we do a good cut, it's 91 1/4. Air leak, so I keep on getting that compressor going on and off. Let's see if I can get me a picture of this while we're cutting this, just to allow you to see this a little better. I will put this right here, and I think I'll get angled just right. There we go. All right. Now, as I was saying before, your outside, we're doing inside corners. And so on this, your right-handed bottom is going to be your long end. And so since I've already got this twisted around here to 31.6 on that, I'm going to put this up here to 33.9, which is already pre-marked for me up here. I'll cut this right here, just that quick. And I didn't cut it all the way through because I was busy talking. Right, and then let's see here. That's good. I'm going to measure from that bottom corner, which is my long piece. We said 91 1/4, didn't we? Now, if you like me, you got a short memory, and so a lot of times I have to double check myself. You double check yourself all you need, because trim work is expensive. And we want to make sure that we don't miscut and end up with a wasted piece of trim. And that's at 91 1/4 there. So let me get this put up against my fence. I will go ahead and twist my saw around here, let that lock into place. Then I'm going to flip this. It's going to give me my outside edge there. Tighten that down nice and tight. And then we want to mark, I've marked this right here to this bottom. And so we want to make sure, this being a sliding compound miter saw, I can get slid out here to the end. And it's going to give me exactly at the end of that mark. All right. There we go. Let's see how this fits. Let's go back out here. Now, there are times I do cut a little bit heavy at times. I would rather err to the side of long than to the side of short, because as we all know, you can always cut more off. It's real hard to glue that sawdust back on there. Let me put this phone down for you. I do apologize for all the moving around. Try to get my stage set up here. Put that back there in the bathroom. Then I'll put my little platform for the camera on top of the ladder. Like so. And then I will take my phone, try to get you adjusted here to where you'll be able to see what we're doing again. And that is annoying. Okay, I can just twist that down a little bit so you can see it a little bit. There you go. I probably should have landscaped this angle before I started this to give you a little bit better width rather than just up and down, but I'm not as savvy at videos as some folks, but I hope this will be a help to you anyway. I've got the stud finder with me. I know all you guys are going to have that joke for your wife. You're going to count the stud. Here we go. Let's see how we line up and match up on this. We're going to put that corner there, and I'm going to bend this a little bit to let it fit in this other side. Oh, yeah. God is good, I tell you. See, that's a nice, pretty fit right there. And if you twist this in like this, it's going to hold itself on the ends. You're not going to have a lot of hand work to do. There's that one. Make sure that we hit a stud there. If you don't, it will not hold, and it's going to come loose on you over time. Here's another one. Now, this is tight enough to where it would actually hold itself without another nail in it probably. I just like nice tight cuts. I like correct angles. I don't like fixing mistakes with caulk. It just don't look good. And if you want a nice professional finish, leave the caulk alone and just do it right from the get-go. The guy who supposedly was a professional and come in and did the mud work for me on the sheetrock. I'd already hung the sheetrock, and he came in and did the mud work for me. My son-in-law hired him because my wife was in the hospital, and my son-in-law thought that I could use some help, and I could, and he was a great encouragement to me. But the guy that he hired gave him a snow job and came in and made a mess. It took me several days to fix the sheetrock mess that he made, and so that's why we're doing the crown molding. That's what happens when you don't do things right, and so you had to end up adding trim. You can see these. I don't even have a nail in that end yet, and you can see that nice tight fit. What we're going to end up with is just a nice easy caulk joint, just enough to fill in for paint. We're not going to have to do a lot of filling in and trying to get this hole fixed and that one. So let me do this just to finish this out. That's the bathroom in there. I'm going to put you right back here on the edge. We're going to measure this side. That's a bad air joint. I use a universal fitting on my nail gun just so it'll swivel around, and it's leaking on me there. So I do apologize for that continued noise with the air compressor. Okay, what we've got there is 91 and an 8. 91 and an 8. So let's cut us another one real quick. I'll be right back when we get one more full piece. We're actually making this an apartment for my daughter and son-in-law while they're building a house. We're waiting on the housing market to come back down a little bit. And so we're going to make use of our basement here for them. You got a basement, you know how it is. You want to make use out of everything you can. All right. I like to try to take care of my kids the best I can. They're good to me, but I try to be good to them as well. All right, let's go in here. Those two outside corners again. There's our bottom with a scallop at the bottom. And we're gonna make sure we're up against the fence. We want to cut that bad edge off of there. Right again, this is where we're at on our swivel. You see that right there? It's locked into place. And then you see on our tilt, there we are. It's pre-marked for us there on the tilt. And so we're gonna, once again, cut the joint so that we'll be able to have our outside joints. We want to make sure we're up flush against our fence. Get that edge out there and cut that bad edge off. I said 91 1/8 on that. So I'm gonna hook around that edge down there. Pull me up right here. 91 1/8. And the tape measure, of course, is in 16ths. So two of those little marks is going to give you an 8. One little mark is going to give you a 16th. 3 are going to give you 3/16. 4 are going to give you a 1/4. Now, we need to twist this back around again because we want that bottom to be our long side. And then we're going to flip this over to give us an outside edge. Right there. So, it's the same place on either side. It's already pre-marked there. I'm going to get down a little bit lower here to where I can see where that's going to hit that mark. Right there. I better put my hand on this other side just so I can give it a full cut. Please be careful because I do have a lady at my church, bless her heart, she's 89 years of age right now, and she's one of the hardest workers you'll ever see in your life. About 2 years ago, she was doing some work at our mission board, and she was holding a piece of wood like this and cut down like that, and she came right across her wrist and cut her watch, slap off of her arm, and could have done a lot more damage than she did to her wrist. Praise the Lord, she didn't do any further damage to it, but be careful if you cross your arm like it. Just be careful to not get your hand caught up in that thing. I'm going to put you right back out here again, and hopefully from that angle you'll be able to see what we're doing here. Again, I don't need my gauge because my 2 ends are already up there, and I'm going to use them to lock into place. I'm going to put this right in the position where my corners are butted up on that end to hold that into place. And then I'm going to take this and bend just a little bit and let it fit right. Work it right. There we go. Now, that's exactly where I want it. Nice tight fit, nice clean cut, and nice fitted joint. Put a nail right here, right above the door jamb. Come down here, do the same thing, right here. Let's get my that's where Mm-hmm. Find us another stud. There we go. Right there. Go to the next one. Come on. Wait, put an extra one there. These stud finders are a lifesaver. Of course, you can do the old trick of going around, knocking around, but it's not precise, and you end up missing a stud. Let's get right there. There's that stud. Get right in that joint right there. Shoot that in there. Now, what I have done is, you can see at the top of that scallop, that little V right there. That's where I like to shoot my nails, and it's going to keep it a lot cleaner. Now, every so often, I'm going to come along this and I'm going to find me a joist going that way, and I'm going to shoot one straight up just to make sure. There we go, right there. I'm going to shoot straight up. I'm using, like I said, 18 gauge brad nails, because if you try to use a 15 gauge or something of that nature, it's going to show a lot more, and caulk joints just ain't going to cover it. Watch this right here. We're going to start right here. We're going to come out until there. Well, right here's where I want to be, so I'm going to shoot straight up into that joist right there. It's the joist for upstairs. Get me another one here, right there. That's not going anywhere. Now let me show you this joint that I've got, just so you can see how we like to have these joints. Now you can see a nice clean joint there. You see a nice clean joint there. Nice joints all around, so that we don't have to worry about filling these things up with caulk and it later on that caulk shrinking and showing a crack in your crown mold. So that's how we do our crown molding. I hope this has been a bit of help to you, and I hope you have a great day.